Hello, welcome back to the second part of this video. So in the last part of the video, we went through different architectures of AI product. We defined what an AI product is, and we just presented different way of building AI product with examples. So in this part of the video, we'll just be going through a bit more technical terms like what's the front end, what's the back end, how to build a front end, how to build a back end, how to integrate the LLM, and what you should be able to build at the end of this series of video. Okay, so the first question here is what is the front end? So you can see here, what is the front end? I just added a couple of UI here so you can see. I think I explained a bit, but you can see it visually here, some front end, okay, from everything we did. You can understand, you can just visualize the front end as being everything that you see. So everything that the user will see will be the front end right now. It can be much more complex than that, as we saw it in the last video, but right now, just visualize that the front end is everything the user can see. And building that is quite important because the experience of the user on your application depend on that. If you build ChatGPT, but you do not expose the features that your application have, the user will not be able to discover them. And that's why the front is quite important when you're building an AI product. For example, here in Poe, you will see that you have so many things that you don't know what exactly to do, right? You have create new chat, you have some sample chat here, you know what they're doing. You have your boots, subscribe, creators, profile, setting, and all this. And when you come to ChatGPT, for example, it's simple. You know that you type a query, you get a response. So building a front end is quite important. Focusing on the front end is quite important in the process of building an AI product. But these days, there are so many tools that can help you build a front end quite easily. So you don't need to spend days or I don't know month crafting the front end. You can use many or a lot of these AI tools to actually help you build that quickly. Yes, so with that said, let's go to the next part. How do you build a front end? Initially, to build a front end, you needed 3 programming languages. Most of the time, you need HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. So HTML will just give you the skeleton of the page. CSS will just give some colors, animations, and JavaScript will add functionality on top of it. So for example, if you get ChatGPT, let's go to ChatGPT, you will see that if without CSS, you will not have this rounded border, these colors here, or this, all the rounded border, the color, the layout in general. You will have these elements. So if I expect, you will see that you have some code here that looks like, I don't know, foreign language, but you will see that you have a lot of code here. This code is actually HTML, and here is the CSS. The CSS is actually quite simple. You're like, I want this text to have this font size. I want this text to have this font weight. I want this. I will show you the corner, the rounded corner of this box. This box, normally you will see, if you look for border radius, you will see here that border radius is actually the, how SQL or how to design the corner of this box, for example. And doing that help the user find itself on your platform. So for example, in ChatGPT, you have so many features and you need to organize them well so that people find themselves on your UI. And that's why the front end is quite important. And as I mentioned, to build that, you have this HTML and CSS. But now when you click on this, there's a JavaScript event that actually handle that and make sure that something happen. Okay, something behind the scene happens. And that's why you need JavaScript, right? But today, we don't really use these technologies because they are quite old and they're not that maintainable. It's hard to work with it on a big project, and that's the reason why you have these frameworks on top of it. So you have React, Angular, Vue. You don't need to understand what all these frameworks are. You just need to have a high level understanding of what they are used for, because most of the time you can build UI with AI, right? If you just need a simple UI. Now, disclaimer, if you really need a big project, you need to build a project that's actually really big, you cannot just rely on AI to build your front end. You'll need deep understanding of these concepts. But in this video, I'll just show you how to quickly take some templates, change it, craft it with the front end, especially for the first projects. The first project we'll be building, you will be able to build that without a deep knowledge of the programming languages that I'm presenting here. But the more we grow in complexity, the more you need to understand them. The more you need to understand in depth how to manage state, how to organize your code, and all these things, because otherwise you'll have a really messy code at the end and you'll not be able to maintain it. So here you have Taiwan and Chatsi, and it's actually some flavor on top of this framework to make them easily usable and manageable, especially the UI part. So maybe I can show you. If you go to Chatien, you will see that it's like actually a library of components that you can just drag and drop into your code. I can show it to you here. You have this. If you want this, you just take it there and you put it into your code. And you can see here you have Next.js, Vite, and many other frameworks. If you want some cards, this card, you can just copy the code and paste it into your project. So they are making it easy for you to build this product and build these platforms. So apart from that, as I mentioned, this is actually kind of the end result when you merge everything together. You have a front end, probably built with Next.js, and a framework on top of it that will help you organize items on the front end. And you will have a front end, a fully functional front end at the end with functionalities. When you click, something happens. Okay. With that said, when you have your front end, so let's say you have this front end, ChatGPT, but the AI is not really there yet, because all you have is just visual functionality, the visual part of your product. If you need to add functionality on top of that, you need to add a backend to your product, to your project. And this is the next part of this presentation, is how to build a backend. So to build a backend today with the AI technologies, you have two different ways. You actually have many ways, but these two are the one where you have the most flexibility. You can use .NET, you can use Go, you can use whatever you want, Java, but to have access to many frameworks, many AI agent frameworks, many SDK, you need to use at least Python or Node.js. Okay, but using Python and Node.js is quite complex as well. It's actually low level. It's simple enough, but it's still low level, and you need a framework on top of that to simplify the process. So that's the reason why you have Next.js, FastAPI, or Django. We will also be going through this in that while we're building this video. So you can just maybe Google it a bit to see how it looks like, but normally you don't need for the first part, for simple AI product, to understand deeply these programming languages. But I highly recommend, if you really want to learn, to take the time to go through some of these technologies. Maybe just choose one. Next.js is a combination of front end and back end in the same project, and learn it deeply. You will have a lot more understanding of what you're doing, and also you will be able to do way more than just a simple UI with the text box in there. Okay, you will not be limited by what the AI gives you. You will be able to extend it and build much more complex things. So I highly recommend you to learn these technologies and understand how to use them efficiently. Okay, so now the last part is, because if you see it in our architectures, in any architecture here, we have the backend, we have the LLM, we have the front end. So we kind of went through how to build a front end, how to build a backend. Now, how do we connect the LLMs? So if you come here, you'll see that you have two different ways of doing that. You either connect it via official SDK of the LLM providers, or use a framework. So what is an SDK? An SDK is actually a package that a provider creates to simplify access to their API. So for example, you have OpenAI that provide access to ChatGPT. They have an official SDK for you to install into your code and easily go through the process of integrating your AI into your product. But the issue here is, if you want to get out of ChatGPT or OpenAI at the end, it will be really hard because you need to implement a different SDK. Let's say the Google SDK is quite different from the OpenAI SDK. Same for other providers. So you need a simple way to access all of these providers to be able to build the second part of this of the AI architecture we showed, where you can connect to multiple LLMs, or where you can just easily switch LLMs whenever you want, or maybe DeepSeek is maybe the best LLM right now, so you need to go there. You shouldn't be stuck in one SDK with one provider. So that's the reason why we always use frameworks when we want to have the flexibility to choose. And concerning frameworks, we have a lot of them. Okay, we have LangChain, LlamaIndex, Haystack, I think, and many other frameworks. You choose, but here the most popular is LangChain. It's actually used almost all the time when you're creating applications. It simplifies a lot the process of creating these applications. So it's actually a good solution. And in the product that we'll be building in this series of videos, we'll be using LangChain, of course. Yes, so last thing, how do we make this process quick? We have so many tools, right? It doesn't make sense for us in this age, knowing everything we know, to be coding everything from scratch. What you need to do is use AI to go faster. So I will show you how to build a simple project with AI, but also show you how to build a project where complexity is a bit more higher and you need a bit more understanding to build complex things. So we'll use AI most of the time to bootstrap what we're doing. We use Visio to create components, Cursor, or Peer AI, one of these tools, to actually autocomplete some things. While we are coding, you'll use Bold.new to build simple product or simple boilerplates that can export and build on top of that. So with that said, maybe you can visit all of these tools. I think it's Visual.dev, Cursor, and Peer, actually VS Code, Fog with AI in there, and you have Bold at Bold.new. You can actually play around with it and see what you can build with it already without any coding knowledge. So now, what can you build at the end? I'll put this video in between in the editing in between, so you can understand why we choose to build vertical AI agents. So if I can say something, is that right now vertical AI agents are maybe the go-to way to build AI products, because you can focus on one thing for a specific market, for a specific industry, and build something pretty good there with AI agents, or with all the knowledge that we will have throughout this series of video, and possibly make something out of it. It can be a good product selling to people. It can be just something that you may want to automate yourself. But at the end of this video, you should be able to build a vertical AI agent. So why I chose vertical AI agents? I think maybe this guy, the guy talk about platforms a lot, but he said something really interesting here. Why most AI hype is centered around horizontal B2C use cases? The real opportunity lies in vertical B2B AI, and that makes a lot of sense, because when you automate a specific task in a company, you are more likely to get a big reward and easily than having to reach a million of people. So for example, let's say you build an AI tax accountant, right, that automates, that help an accountant to be faster at their job. They are more likely to pay you $1,000 than being trying to convince 100 people to pay you $10 for a language tutor app. But you are free to choose here. At the end, you should be able to build both of them, the B2C use case and the B2B use case. The B2C use case is actually this kind of tools where you use AI to automate things that everyone usually do. It can be AI math tutor, language tutor, travel assistant. Normally everyone should do this. But when you go to the B2B part, I think I have some things here that I didn't delete anyway. You have things that actually companies will buy, and companies may have much more money to buy what you're building because it helps them go faster in your process on their day-to-day job. So you have like this AI text accountant, the AI phone support. I think we showed that with Angela. You can also have a tool that can so this is a vertical AI agent. So it's an AI receptionist for vet clinics, for example. You specific build this one for a specific industry doing a specific things, and you sell it to these people in that industry. AI text accountant, you can find some online. You can also have an AI tool that help people to create and schedule posts on social media, and you can sell it to to businesses as well. And the good thing here, or the special things about this kind of tool, is that they do one thing and they do it quite well. So for example, we have ChatGPT now doing many things, but ChatGPT cannot automate everything. ChatGPT is good at many things, but has like a junior understanding of a lot of topics, but it cannot really solve a real problem. It cannot connect to different tools and actually do something there because it's a generalist tool. But if you build a specific tool in a specific vertical, you are more likely to bring some value to someone that will solve real problems and do it really, really well. So that's what we'll be building. At the end of this series, you should be able to build any of these systems. In the next part, we'll start by building the first architecture we presented here, building a product that will be the first year that will also help you do something quite simple, finding a good AI idea to work on. Okay, so we'll build this together, and you'll be able to use what you build to find AI ideas that you'll be working on and actually have assistance during your building process. And afterward, we'll go through much more complex structure and adding more functionality on our AI. So at the end, we have possibly vertical AI agents that we can actually use or propose to people to use. So I hope you enjoyed this good part of the video. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.